But your safeties are supposed to be able to tackle and hit somebody. Me and Dan were talking about this. Eagles have not had one hard hit all year in 4 games. Not one player from that team has hit anybody in the mouth. I think they're soft on defense. Their offense is good, so I think it's going to be a close game. But I think the Bills are going to score more points. And I think the Eagles need to do a whole revamp of their defense. They got to figure something out. Because they, except for the front four has played well. But the linebackers and the secondary is atrocious. And I'm going to use that word. They're just atrocious.
Fire Juan Castillo.
Yeah, we should start the website, firejuancastillo.com, the defensive coordinator. And I guess just lastly, another thing here for the Bills is the Eagles notoriously have been horrible. I've already mentioned how bad they are against the run, and Buffalo has Fred Jackson. But in the last thing, before we move on to my brother Scott's commercial, is that they have a 6'7" tight end named Scott Chandler, and the Bills are going to be using him. And the Eagles Dan pointed out Carlos Emmons, which was 8 years ago, was the last linebacker we had that could cover tight end. Andy Reid has not fixed this problem in 8 years, and that's why one of the reasons he has to go. Andy Reid has not figured it out yet. They cannot stop the tight end, and Scott Chandler has played well. Fitzpatrick likes to use him. And I don't care what anyone says. Every week they go in with the same problems, and the Eagles have not fixed them. They couldn't stop Tony Gonzalez. They cannot stop anything up the middle against the safeties or linebackers. I'm very emphatic right now. Little emotion, sorry. I kind of was unprofessional there, Scott. But anyway, that's my pick. Not go Buffalo, but pick Buffalo. Sorry, I ran off a tangent there.
And Brian did record a message for the Eagles this week.
And
yeah, he will always still love you.
I am still
Loves his birds.
I am.
He's just trying to be professional.
Doesn't sound like
That's
it,
all.
but I want him to win.
Yeah. So we all agree that both defenses are equally bad, but certainly Andy Reid has a lot at stake here. They say he could be on the ropes if he doesn't produce with the dream team here, a la the Miami Heat in NBA, right?
Dan likes to say, Dan will drive him to the airport. Dan said Dan will volunteer to drive Andy Reid to the airport and his whole coaching staff when he gets fired.
Except for the special teams coach and defensive line coach, I think have done a terrific job.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
guys have been
Those
wonderful.
guys.
Everyone else can take a hike.
I don't know why you would say that. I mean, Mike Shanahan's employed now.
Yeah. Well.
All right, so we have 2 picks in the books. We have the Jets and the Birds. And my comment is that Philly now has purpose-built stadiums, so I don't think that squirrel's going to get out at the football game because it lives over at the baseball stadium.
Yeah,
right?
it is a football show, but Dan has his Philly shirt on.
Yeah, that's right.
And,
Good game for the Phillies.
Big game for the Phillies. Go Phillies.
That's right.
I'm gonna
you bastard.
I'm gonna be getting really drunk, so if they lose, I won't get mad.
Yeah, you will be part of the mayhem on the streets and be calling in sick the next day, whether they win or lose, right?
Scott, tomorrow's Saturday, buddy.
I'll stop him from calling out sick.
Yeah. Call into the office on Saturday,
Yeah,
get a
right.
recording. Hey, I'm calling out. Call just the recording.
Call the poor person who's the answering service.
Say, Brian, we got this funny message from you on Saturday morning saying you were calling in sick.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sick.
I'm under the weather. So that wraps up the combined picks for Week 5. And of course, as always, this show is sponsored. So please patronize our sponsors. This week we're sponsored by another Australian beer. So let's roll the commercial.
dream.
Schooner is new, thanks.
Sorry, mate. No dogs allowed.
That's a guide dog, mate.
Guide dog. Guide dogs are either German Shepherds or Labradors.
What are they giving me?
Give that man in here.
Yeah. All right, we're back. Dan and Brian made a comment during the commercial that they don't like Australians. So if there are any Australians in South Philly who'd like to kick their ass, I'm calling on you to mobilize. What's the Wilder Street?
And also to the viewers out there, consider the source. My brother Scott is a raging drunk.
Yeah, all Australians, I know you're peaceful people. I'm a peaceful person. You know, go Australia.
My brother probably right now is seeing
right.
4 of me and Dan.
Yeah, right.
Crikey,
Drinking that stuff
crikey.
in Detroit, Strohs.
All right, so we have a do we have a segment before the first guarantee, or that's when
No,
Brian
that,
comes
my
up?
segment is at the end. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's
so
at
we're
the end.
ready
All
to
right.
go. We're Big D.
Big D.
Ready to go for your first guaranteed pick of Week 5. Let's have it, Big
All
D
right,
Dan.
I am taking New Orleans at Carolina. New Orleans is favored by 7 points in this game. This year, actually, Carolina is 4-0 against the spread, but Carolina's defense is terrible. New Orleans' offense is averaging 472 yards a game, and New Orleans' offense averaging 32 points a game, while Carolina's offense already averaging 32.3 points a game. And the difference in this game will be third down, which is my nugget of the week. Last week against Bears, Carolina went 2 for 12 on third down, and this year only converting 32.7% on third down, which means turning the ball over a lot, either by penalty or punting, whatever. On third down, they just don't convert. So New Orleans is going to have the ball a lot, and they have obviously a great passing game with Drew Brees, but their running game is good. So both things should work against Carolina. Carolina while they faced the fewest attempts against, because teams usually had on them. It's only faced 95 pass attempts, but they're giving up 9 yards a pass, which is a lot. Most teams give up around 6.5. So they're giving up almost a first down every time a pass is completed. And they're 31st against the run, which is averaging 144 yards per game against them. And the Saints have Ingram, Thomas, and Sproles, and probably 4 other guys. They can just roll out running backs, and they should run all over them. So based on the average points per game and based on the average that the Cardinals' defense is just terrible. Now, I know New Orleans is no juggernaut on defense, but they should be able to confuse Cam Newton enough. And Greg Williams, defensive coordinator for the Saints, usually dials up a lot of good blitzes during the course of a game. So I think he's been able to get Newton a few times. So that's why I think this is a solid pick. New Orleans should win by easily in this game with Carolina.
I don't usually do this. I know it's Dan. I know it's Dan.
Drew Brees!
Oh, yeah.
I don't usually do this, but I thought I could help Dan out a little bit. I know this is his pick, but I noticed in my research that the Saints are actually tied right now in the NFL in a number of sacks. So I figured that also Greg Williams is going to dial up a number of blitzes.
Yeah, he's going to blitz the hell out of them.
Anyway, so sorry, Dan. We don't usually do that, but I thought I would add.
No, that's
add a
fine.
stat
That's
in
an
there.
excellent interjection. That is true. He's gonna blitz and blitz and blitz, and Cam Newton is just he's gonna try to do it all himself. He's done it himself the whole season. He scored all 9 of the Carolina's touchdowns, either pass or run. They haven't rushed in, no returns, nothing else for touchdowns other than him. And he can't do it all by himself, and he's going to get hit in this game. And they're going to be behind, too. Again, that's why I guess he throws all the time. But I see New Orleans being able to cover this. Since it's only a 7-point spread, I guess the team they're far superior than against a quarterback who, I know he's put up some impressive numbers, but, he's going to face a really heavy blitz this week, which I don't think he's really faced. Most teams just play coverage. So I expect the Saints to win easily.
Let me ask you this, Dan. If we're going to be bold here, Scott. This is the time to be bold. You think this is the blowout of the week?
This is possibly the blowout of the week. And I have a $10 bet against our friend Mr. Hinkle.
Yes,
who,
Steve. Cheers to
He
Steve.
bet me $10 that New Orleans will not cover the spread in this.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
So I have a lot riding on this. So come on, Saints.
Who dat? Drew Brees.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, Dan knows German too, throwing out the juggernaut word. Didn't know you spoke German, Dan. Ja.
Ja.
Mein Freund.
Und Bier. Und Bier.
Bier ist gut. Ja. We have ways of making you talk. All right, so we have the first guarantee from Big D. Let's have the second from
All right,
Big B.
My Big B, guaranteed my brother can appreciate. My brother Scott, I don't know if he's ever told anybody, but he was born in Cincinnati. Right, brother Scott?
Who day? Who day?
Who are those
Right.
bungles?
Get your code. Get your code. Who to go? Get your code. Go.
Well, my Big B is Cincinnati is playing at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is favored by a point. I'm taking Cincy in this one. Some of the things I wrote down. I guess my nugget for my Big B, my nugget of the week, is that the Jacksonville Jacksonville's offense ranks 31st in the NFL, their overall offense, and Cincinnati's defense is number 1 overall in the NFL. I think as far as the Jaguars, I've mentioned this before, is that they only have one player, basically, Maurice Jones-Drew. He's had a good season so far. But I think with the Bengals defense, I think it's going to be basically a battle of Maluga, who I think is one of the best middle linebackers in the league, going against Maurice Jones-Drew. I think they're going to shut down MJD. I think it's going to be a close game because the Jaguars do have a good defense, and the Bengals offense is kind of young and they're growing. But I see it as a tight game, but I still think Cincy's going to win. I think Cincinnati has a better team than people realize. Their defense is very strong this year. They have 10 sacks, which is tied, or I think it's tied for second or third in the league. I also have down here that the Jaguars on defense have allowed 6 receiving touchdowns. So even though it's going to be tight, I think that they might be able to shut down the Bengals' run, the Jaguars' defense. But I think Dalton can throw a little bit, enough to win. I see it close. I see 17-13. And my last stat here is I told this to Dan. This reminded me of the old Doug Peterson days. Dougie Fresh days, Eagles quarterback. We're not going to talk about him anymore.
No, never again.
That was the last.
Never talk about him again.
Last reference. But last week, the new quarterback for the Jaguars was 16 of 42, which is, I believe, that's around 30 to 40% of his passes were completed. He only threw for 150 yards. I think he's new, and he's going to struggle against the number 1 defense in the league. And I just see a struggle, but I see the Bengals winning 17-13, somewhere in that ballpark.
All they have to do is win.
That's right. It's basically a pick 'em. So I think it's going to be Cincinnati. I think the rookie quarterback is going to struggle.
This is what Big B is going to be saying if he actually wins on a Cincinnati pick, being that they typically have a letdown after a big win. So this is what Brian's going to be saying after Sunday.
Except they forgot one thing. I can dodge bullets, baby.
That's right. He says, yeah, since he's coming off a big win,
Jacksonville stinks.
they're not going to have a letdown. Let's see if you can dodge that bullet, baby.
Jacksonville stinks.
I just people. I mean, we don't usually talk about future picks unless it's the preseason show. I think Cincinnati this year is going to be better than people are going to think they are. I think when they always say defense wins championships, I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl. They're going to be tough this year, especially with the Steelers being banged up and they're not going to be as good as normal. The Ravens are going to be tough, but the Bengals might They might have a winning season this year. They might be 9-7, 10-6. Their defense is good. Mal Luga is the real deal.
So
He is no joke.
So to quote Denny Green, they are who you think they are.
Yes. They're a good defensive team that's only going to need to score, 20 points to win games.
Yeah, especially the rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
That really helps to have a strong defense.
But they are who we thought they were.